everyone, today we're going to learn about the sun, the moon, and the stars, and we're going to learn about what patterns are shown when we see the sun, the moon, and the stars. So let's get started. The materials you're going to need today are one paper plate and one printout of the sundial template, and you can find the one printout of the sundial template with the link Umir sent in the chat. But if you don't have a printer, it's okay. You can draw this sundial and you can rewatch the video and restart the activity with us. You'll also need one straw, one tape or glue, one to two sheets of white printer paper, one pencil or pen, a stapler with staples, one pair of scissors, one black coloring pencil or crayon. And if you'd like to decorate, you can use other coloring pencils or crayons. So go ahead and gather the materials. We'll give you a minute for that. Okay, so let's get started with the lesson. So what makes a pattern and what is a pattern? So a pattern is something that repeats in a specific way. So for example, this black square. Umir, would you like to guess what comes next after this black square?
A white square? I'm just kidding. Another black one?
You're right.
Wait. Oh my god. I actually got that right. Wow.
A white square. Yeah, so what do you think comes after?
A black square.
Exactly, right? Because this is a pattern. As you can see in our graphic here, this is a pattern of black, white squares. So in our next example, you have a circle, you have a triangle, and Umir, would you like to take a guess on what comes next?
A square.
Let's see.
Oh no, oh my god, a circle. I don't know patterns. I gotta go back to grade school.
So yeah, this is another example of a pattern with shapes. We have circles, triangles, circles, triangles, and yeah, this is an example of a pattern. So some real life examples we can see are tiger stripes and zebra stripes, a chessboard or a checkerboard. And go ahead and type in the chat for any examples of patterns you see in real life also. I'm just gonna look around my room and see if I see any patterns. Let's see. I guess this would be somewhat of a pattern. My fake plant I have here, we have white stripes on the side and this green solid oval shaped in the middle. I guess you can say that's a pattern. We have...
Is college students having fake plants a pattern?
Yes, okay. And we too. They're easier to take care of. But yeah, I guess you could say this is a pattern, white, green, and white. And go ahead and type in the chat if you have any examples of patterns you'd like to show us also. So what do you see in the sky in the day? So just looking out my window, it's pretty sunny today. You see the sun. And
Meva and Erva, very creative names, say tiles are a pattern. And pandas.
Yes, pandas. Yeah, you see a lot of patterns in animals, right? Like cheetah print, tiger stripes. I'm trying to think of any marine animals. Maybe some fishes they have. Probably
maybe dolphins?
Dolphins?
I don't know.
Maybe whale sharks with the white dots. That's a pattern also. So thank you so much for giving us examples of patterns. So now let's learn about the patterns we see in the day. So the sun is the star at the center of the universe and is the most important source of energy for Earth. And do we observe light all throughout the day? We do, right? As you can see, well, I don't know where all of you are from right now, but where I am right now at California, it's currently 4 p.m. PST. So the sun is shining bright right now. And is it always sunny and bright outside? These are just some questions you can think about as you type in the chat. So it's not always sunny and bright outside, right? Sometimes there's some clouds. Depends on the season. So what is the difference between the sun during the day and at night? Well, you can see the sun during the day, but at night we can't see the sun, but we can see the moon and the stars. And in a lot of cities, the stars can't be seen because of all the lights and the pollution. But it would be really nice if we didn't have a lot of pollution and we could see the stars at night. Example here, you see the stars here. So what do you see in the sky at night? Let's see, what do we see in the sky at night? I think we see some dots, some bright little white dots, probably what are called stars.
Sometimes I see a cloud in the shape of a person, or maybe my favorite food restaurant, like a Taco Bell cloud. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that.
That sounds cool, actually. I've never seen a Taco Bell cloud. If you look closely with a microscope, you can actually see other planets. They just look like stars, but they're actually there, planets.
Yeah, it looks like Minecraft 1.16.221 / Thomas says, I have seen a comet. The person named No has seen stars, and Johnson has seen the moon.
Yeah, right. Those are all the 3 common things you see. Stars. Well, maybe not comets. I've never seen a comet before. That's really cool. You're really lucky to spot that. I've never seen a comet at night. I would love to. But you usually see the moon and stars, right? But also, this isn't related to the lesson, but you can actually see other planets at night too. They just look like stars. And you could probably see Mars and Venus. Their color is a little bit off. They look more red. And that's how you know those are Venus and Mars. So next time at night, go ahead and take a look, and you could probably spot Venus and Mars at night. And no, that's not a star. So let's see if the answers are right. So, well, to see this, the moon orbits the Earth and stabilizes the Earth's rotation, and this causes tides, right, in our oceans. It causes our oceans to move back and forth. And the stars are the tiny dots of light seen in the sky at night. They are giant spheres made out of super hot gas. Go ahead and think about what is the closest star to our planet Earth. Go ahead and from the information we learned recently, try to answer this and think about it. And what do you observe in the sky at nighttime?
I mean, when I went to kindergarten, my mom said I was a star, and so me?
Yes. Everyone is a star.
Well, we have some great answers other than mine. Caleb says the sun. Minecraft 1.16.221 / Thomas says sun as well.
Yeah, exactly. The closest star to our home planet Earth, or to all the other planets, is the sun, right? Because the sun is a star, and all the tiny dots we see at night are stars also, but they're really far away, which is why they're so tiny. Some nice picture of some stars.
Is the moon a star, Lily?
The moon is not a star, actually. I believe it's pretty confusing to define, but it is considered still a planetary object, and there's a lot of theories on how the moon formed, but I believe there hasn't been scientists haven't concluded what is the ultimate theory of how the moon formed. But yeah, the moon is not a star. So what pattern do you notice about day and night? Well, we know that the sun always rises in the morning from the east and sets at night in the west. And if you live in the United States like I do, the best way for me to memorize how the sun rises in the east and sets in the west is I'm from California. I mentioned that already, but since I'm from California and I know people that live in the east, like New York, it's morning there, or it's a lot earlier there. So that means the sun rises in the east first and follows us later. So that means the sun rises in the east and sets at the west. And the moon and the stars follow the same pattern at night. So this is a little cool graphic. We can see how the sun rises in the morning from the east and it sets in the west, and that's when we can see the moon and all the stars. So the sun and your shadow. What happens to your shadow when the sun moves across the sky? Go ahead and take a guess in the chat. I don't know. I think I can see my shadow right now.
I've seen it get bigger and smaller. But let's see what everyone else has to say. Meva and Irva, they're two siblings. They say they always thought the Big Dipper for that last question. Wow, that's very cool.
Ooh.
So, what do you guys think? What happens to your shadow when the sun moves across the sky? I mean, you guys have probably been outside during this time and just walking, exploring. Oh, Caleb says it disappears.
Yeah, it does
And
disappear.
the Minecraft person, I'm not going to say your entire name because it's so long, your shadow gets bigger and smaller.
Like Amir said.
Yeah, and Meva and Urba say the shadow size changes.
Yeah, exactly. These are all very, very good answers. So as you can see here, we have our sun. This tree has a shadow. And later on, as the sun, the sun doesn't move. Well, technically the sun moves across the sky, but technically, yes, that's moving, right? So let's say for this lesson, as we see the sun kind of move across the sky, you can see the shadow also moves. And you notice they're kind of moving opposite directions, right? As the sun is moving, or I just don't like that. As the earth is spinning. Okay, let's say the earth is spinning to the right. You see the shadow is slightly moving to the left, right? As you can see with my fancy wand mouse cursor, it's moving to the left as the earth is spinning to the right. As you can see, it's kind of moving opposite to the sun, right? As you can see here, the shadow is going towards the left as we see the sun go towards the right. So let's learn a little bit more about Earth's rotation. Well, the pattern of the day and night is caused by the Earth's rotation. And during the day, it looks like the sun is moving across the sky, but it's actually because the Earth is spinning, like I mentioned before, right? And the pattern of the day and night is caused by this rotation. For this rotation, it takes one whole day for the Earth to complete its rotation on its axis. So that means the Earth is not, for example, I have my moon lamp here. The Earth isn't not standing, but it isn't positioned straight. It's actually tilted. So it spins like this. So the Earth's axis is an imaginary line through the Earth from the North Pole. So yeah, so as you can see here, this is the Earth's axis. It's spinning on its side. And another pattern caused by the Earth's rotation is the length of our shadows. I think some of you mentioned that our shadows got smaller and bigger. Well, our shadows are longer in the afternoon than it is in the darker time, right? You can see here. Well, actually, it looks like our shadows are changing in size as our day goes on. So let's learn about what causes moonlight. Well, we have sunlight that shines on the moon, and we get reflected light from the moon. And that's how we're able to see the moonlight, right? Let's do that one more time. The light from our sun reflects the light from the moon, and that's how we're able to see the moonlight at night. So now let's learn about the different phases of the moon, because as some of you have mentioned, we do see the moon at night, right? But the moon doesn't look the same all the time. And this is because there are different phases of the moon. And each phase of the moon is the area of the moon that is lit up by the sun. The phases of the moon happen because the moon orbits around the Earth. It takes about a month to a cycle through all the phases. So that's pretty cool, right? The sun stays in one place, the Earth orbits the sun, and the moon orbits the Earth. Can any of you take a guess on the phases of the moon and what those are? I can name one. Full moon. Moon kind of looks like a little piece of cheese. Really random.
I mean, have you ever had a chocolate moon?
No, that
Pretty
sounds
good.
Ooh.
Let's see, we have some answers. Minecraft says crescent full.
Crescent full. Any other guess?
Can anyone name all of the phases?
I don't even think I can name all of the phases.
Neva and Erba say crescent.
Mm-hmm.
And wax.
These are all very good guesses. So
Anonymous says half moon. So yeah,
now,
let's see.
yeah, so these are all very, very good guesses. So let's see. So we have the new moon, we have crescent, we also have the third quarter, we also have the waning gibbous. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. We have the full moon, and we have the waxing gibbous, the first quarter, and the waxing crescent. So all your guesses were correct. And as you can see here, the Earth is in the middle, the moon is orbiting the Earth, and you can see how all these different phases of the moon are determined by the sunlight, right? So you can see here, there's the sunlight shining here, and it shines on this side of the moon, but this side of the moon doesn't get any sunlight. So we don't get any, we don't really see the moon during this phase, which is why it's so dark, right? And this is the new phase. So now let's learn about something really, really cool, eclipse. First, let's go over lunar eclipse. So during a lunar eclipse, the Earth is exactly between the moon and the sun, and this blocks the sunlight from reflecting off the moon. So during a lunar eclipse, it looks like this. And I believe with a lunar eclipse, you can actually look at it safely. So yeah, so next time we get a lunar eclipse, remember that the Earth is exactly between the moon and the sun. You can see here. Super cool. Now let's learn about solar eclipse. So during a solar eclipse, the moon blocks the sunlight from the Earth. So you can see here, the moon is in between the sun and the Earth. And this happens during the new moon phase. And it can only be seen in certain places on Earth because the moon only blocks a certain small area. And with a solar eclipse, whenever you hear there's solar eclipse happening around your region where you live, make sure you get fancy glasses for it, because with a solar eclipse, you can't look at it directly. I believe it damages your cornea. So with a solar eclipse, please make sure you're not looking at the sun directly. But with a lunar eclipse, I believe you can. But please make sure to look that up before you do. Warning. Now let's begin with our lesson. So these are the materials you will need. Remember, you need one paper plate, this printout, one straw, super glue, one sheet of white printer paper, one pencil or pen, a stapler with staples, scissors, and one black coloring pencil or crayon. And if you like to decorate, your sundial, coloring pencils or crayons, if you like. So I'm gonna start preparing.
And do we have Crystal? Or will Lily be leading this?
Oh, I'll be leading this actually.
Okay.
Okay, so first I will show you what we will be building today. I think I lost it. So this is what we will be building today. We have our straw in the middle, we have our printed template, and our paper plate in the back. So let's get started with doing that. Okay, let me just readjust the camera. Okay, so go ahead and grab your template and cut it out. Just cut out this area. Since we've learned about solar and lunar eclipse, I wonder what eclipse looks like with other planets, especially with Jupiter and Saturn, because Jupiter and Saturn have a lot of moons. So I wonder what the eclipse looks like there. So I printed out my template. Please let me know if I'm going too quick. Okay, so what we're going to do now, go ahead and grab your pencil and kind of don't tape it just yet. Lay down your template on top of your paper plate and kind of draw this circle underneath, kind of mark it. Mark it so you can draw a circle in between, like this, so you have a circle. Thank you, Meva and Irva. Jupiter does have the most moons. I forgot how much. I believe it's in the 60s or 70s, and there are also some objects orbiting Jupiter. I believe that NASA isn't really, they're wondering if it's a moon or not. But yeah, they have a lot of moons. So go ahead and have your circle there. What we're going to do now is fold your paper plate in half. So fold your paper in half. Don't bend it to the point you can ruin your paper plate. And now we're gonna cut out the circle. And the circle doesn't have to be perfect, just as long as it can fit your straw. So you can have a hole. Okay. Something like this. So you can have a hole like that. And then now when we open your paper plate, you can reshape it back. You now have a hole in the middle of your paper plate. So a fun fact about our sun is that it's a medium-sized star. And actually, before I talked about the fun fact, what you're going to do now is cut this circle out. So a fun fact I mentioned about our sun is that it's a medium-sized star. So that means there are bigger and smaller stars out there in the universe. And maybe you already know this, but but suns, when their life is over, because you know suns, they live too, they can turn into a black hole. I have my hole here. And what you're going to do now is tape your template onto your paper plate with a hole right here. So going back to the fun fact about the sun. So as I said, the sun or other suns can turn into black holes. But fortunately, our sun can't, because our sun is a medium-sized star, so it's not big enough. Kind of lucky, aren't we?
I mean, it would be cool to have a black hole in our universe, immediate universe.
That sounds terrifying. One cool thing about the sun. Despite how frightening the sun is also really important for us. We use it for vitamin D. It helps make our food because the plants need it. So the sun is really, really important.
Looks like AK is saying hi. Hello, AK. Welcome.
Go ahead and tape it on. If you'd like, go ahead and talk about your first experience with eclipse. I believe my first eclipse was a solar eclipse. But yeah. So now that I've done that, taped my template on, and my hole is perfectly in the middle, we're now going to stick our straw through. I have
Fun fact. Oh, wait, go ahead. What about the straw?
Oh, you just stick it through the plate.
Awesome.
Did we have a fun fact?
Yeah, Caleb says there is a supermassive black hole in the Milky Way. That's interesting. Also, another fun fact from Lumiere, Milky Way is a really good candy.
Oh, I think I confuse Milky Way with Three Musketeers all the time.
Yeah, they taste very similar.
Milky Way, I think I do like Milky Way better, actually.
And then Johnson has a question. He or she made the hole too big. Any solutions there, Lily?
I think maybe you can fix it with additional paper. Maybe if you have sheets of paper around you, go ahead and tape it around your circle to make it tighter. And do the same thing on the other side so it can be stronger. So that should work.
Good advice there.
I have a pretty big straw. It's a boba straw. Just go ahead and stick it through your plate. And what we'll do now is go ahead if you are in a region where you still have sun and it's not nighttime for you, go ahead and find somewhere where you can make a shadow. And let's see, what's the best way to explain this? Currently, right now, it's 4:38. And what you should see is, I'm going to turn off my light so you can see the shadow. So, okay. I do not have good shadow around me, actually. That is not good. The sun kind of moved a bit. So, let's see. Yes, unfortunately, when I tested this out earlier, the sun was in a better direction. So what you should see is when you're pointing this and trying to make a shadow from the straw, you could see a shadow that forms at the time it is at your region. So currently it's 4:39. So when you're pointing this to where it can make a shadow, it should be around 4 or 5 p.m. for shadow.
That is super awesome. Mine shows the right time. Wow. Could you maybe, like, with your finger show where that shadow would kind of be?
It should be around 4 to 5 p.m. right here. I don't.
Awesome. That's exactly where it is on mine. Wow.
If yeah,
But
if
I'm
you
not
look.
using a boba straw because I don't really like boba, so
Oh,
I bet you all the students here are like, "What is what is boba?" I don't know if the younger generations drink boba.
gas. But yeah,
The straw poll, do you guys drink boba? Go ahead and answer in the Q&A. I'd
yes.
like
If you
to
like,
know, actually.
I would like to know too. But
Oh,
I
Minecraft says he's in Canada. The sun works the same in Canada, I think. So, uh, it depends on what region you are in Canada. If you're in Eastern Canada, it's already nighttime. Um, but if you're in Vancouver, it should still be good.
yeah, yeah. As long as we're in the same time zone, which is West Coast, United States, and I believe some parts of Canada, it should be 4 p.m. PST, I believe.
Awesome. Johnson said he's or she has drank boba before. So great, thank you. And AK is saying waxing is getting bright, waning is losing light in the moon phases. Great,
Thank
AK. You must be on that part right now.
you. Okay, so go ahead and type in your observations for what you see in your template. Fortunately, I don't have a lot of, my room is outside where I don't really get a lot of sun, so I can't really show you my shadow. But yeah, pretty cool, right? How the shadow lands around the time where you're at. Ooh, it should be sunset for you, Minecraft. Sunset soon. Okay, so now let's move on to our little next short activity. So what we're going to do now is, so I'm gonna fix the camera angle. There you go. So first, we're gonna fold our paper in half vertically. I don't know about you, but when I was in elementary school, I was taught to fold it hot dog style. So go ahead and type in the chat if you were taught like that too. So fold it horizontally, sideways so you can see better. Horizontally, vertically, or hot dog style. And then fold it again, this time hamburger style. Mava and Irva said, I've always wondered how travelers used to find their ways by looking to stars. I've wondered that too. I would be lost. And fold it in half. Fold it in half again.
I'm sure they had their own virtual STEM with BitProject events. And they made some contraptions like we did.
So let me do that one more time. Fold it in half vertically, fold it in half again, and then fold it in half one more time. So when you open your sheet of paper, you should have 8 squares. So what we're going to do now is grab your piece of scissors and cut along these lines. Actually flatten it a little bit more so it can cut a little bit easier. And cut along the lines, but do not cut all the way to the middle because we kind of want to keep it intact. Cut like this, but not all the way to the middle. As you can see, it's a little flips. And do that for all the lines you see, except for the middle long one. But yeah, Mava and Irva brought a really interesting question. I really do wonder how they use the stars to guide their way. It's really cool. You should have something like this. Kind of flips. And then go ahead and refold it. Oh, that's not a good way to fold it so nicely forms a little book. This, a little flip book. That. And we're actually going to do one more. We're going to do one more face. So I'm going to fold this one more time. We need 9 sheets of paper. Fold it in half again. And fold it in half again. And I'm just going to cut one piece out and then add it onto my little flip book. Make sure to save this paper for scraps and add it onto your flip book. So you should have 9 sheets of paper. And then with your staple, go ahead and staple the top. Oops, not that. Staple the top so it can form a book. You have your own little flip book. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw the different phases of the moon. So since you all did such a good job at guessing your phases of the moon, let's draw the new moon together first. So remember the new moon, the new moon was between the sunlight and the earth. So this meant that one side, the side of the moon that we usually see, is not showing any sunlight at all. So it's not bright. So the new moon is pretty dark. So go ahead and draw a circle. You can use a water bottle cap or anything to help guide you. I do not know if that's showing up well. There you go. I have my circle here, and with a coloring pencil, it should be probably black or gray. So go ahead and color it in. Black here. Color in your new moon. And this is what it should look like during the new moon. And you're going to repeat this step for each phase on the next sheet of papers. So when you flip it, you can see the phases of the moon. But warning, make sure you keep your moons the same size. So try your best to keep them all the same size. I think maybe the best is if I share my screen again so that you can see what the phases of the moon look like. Can anyone tell me if my slides are showing?
Yep, you're all good.
All right, so next we're gonna do the waxing crescent, which is what someone mentioned earlier. Make sure they're the same size previously, but it's okay if they're not. I don't think mine will be either. See? Drew my circle here, and a waxing crescent. One side of the moon has light, or it's reflecting light, so we're going to draw that on there. Using our coloring pencil, we're going to shade in one side. So something cool about the moon is that since the moon orbits the Earth, we've only seen one side of the moon. So we have no idea what the other side looks like when we're looking at the moon. So when you look at the moon, think about how that's always the same side you've always seen. That's my waxing crescent. Now let's flip over and draw the first quarter. That's not the same size as previously. Split it in half. And notice how the reflected light is on the same side. So since I drew it on my right here, my reflected side will also be on my right. So I'm going to color the left side of my moon. Okay, so now we have our first quarter moon. Let's do our waxing cubis. I believe that's how you pronounce that. That's not a perfect circle, but that's okay. So now the left side seems to have the left side. I'm confusing myself. Let's see. Okay. So the reflected light seems to be a lot bigger now. So let's draw it like this. We have a tiny crescent. Okay. We have our waxing gibbous right here. And next, let's do our full moon. Full moons are always super pretty to see. I hope those who lived in California got to see that strawberry moon that happened a couple weeks back. It was really big. And that's basically it for full moon, right? All the reflected light. If you want to go ahead and add some craters on there, go ahead. Since the moon has a lot of craters, it means that it's been hit a lot, probably by asteroids and comets.
I'm pretty thankful for that, because otherwise, there's the Earth.
Yeah. But we do have a lot of cool rocks, though. I think, like tiny little asteroids. So now let's draw the reflected light on the other side. Wait. Erase that. So we have the reflected light on the other side. Before. So the full moon here, this means our dark side of the moon is on the other side of the moon, which is the waning gibbous. And now let's do the last quarter. So the last quarter is basically the first quarter, right? Except the sides are different. The reflected side for this side is on the right, but on the last quarter is on the left. So make sure you do that also with your flip book. You split it in half and check the first quarter moon. So I have it on my left, so we gotta switch it to the right. And that's the last quarter. And now let's do the waning crescent. Circle here. Remember, your circles don't have to be perfect, but you can find something to help build your circle. So for the waning crescent, our light side is on the opposite side now. Let's check my moon just to make sure. And color this all in. And here you go. And for our last one, we're going to do the new moon again. Go ahead and color that in. And now we've completed our flip book. You flip through it and you can see the different sides of the moon, different phases of the moon. You probably flip it better than I do. But yes, but that's the conclusion of our activity. You can probably flip it a lot better than I am. But yeah, I think I will bring this back to Amir. Thank you so much for having fun with us tonight.